Well, you know what they say, that the golden rule of negotiating is this: he who has the gold makes the rules. Ukrainian President Zelenskyy, he learned this the hard way on Friday during his Oval Office visit. Did you know that this entire meeting before the press, it lasted 45 minutes? I watched the entire meeting. The world, it continues to focus on that last 10 minutes or so of a contentious exchange, but the 40 minutes beforehand, it laid down the groundwork, showing a very combative Ukrainian leader who seemed eager, ready for a fight. I first noticed Zelenskyy's flippant attitude about 20 minutes into the press briefing. Watch.
Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest. Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, you have problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting the dignity of this office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
So a suit is a costume? No. No. What you're wearing is a costume, Zelenskyy, because you've never been on the front lines in combat. And by the way, that outfit that he's always wearing, it's from Zelenskyy's clothing line. Zelenskyy, you are a president visiting another president in the Oval Office. All the other men, they're wearing suits. But Trump, always the gentleman, then defends Zelenskyy.
And I do like your clothing, by the way.
Yeah, really?
Even though I think he's a great guy, by the way. But I don't know if you two like each other. But you know what? I think he's dressed. I think he's dressed.
I like this guy. I don't know.
I think he's dressed beautifully.
So,
I bet the fake news didn't show you that. No, never. Of course not. Instead, it's Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. They're so rude. They're so disrespectful. Yet who interrupted who first? Well, I'll show you.
Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa, but a lot of cities have been destroyed. A lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No.
And a lot of things have to
Mr. President, you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive and people work.
I bet you didn't see that either, where he's interrupting Trump. Now, according to Trump, in the 3 years since Russia invaded Ukraine, Ukraine has received $350 billion in U.S. taxpayer dollars. So why wouldn't Zelenskyy then just be grateful and gracious, right? During the press briefing, Trump reiterated over and over his simple desire to bring peace through diplomacy.
You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world.
And this, folks, that statement right there, I think that's what really set Zelenskyy off. His body language then stiffened. And I mean, you could almost feel the laser beams were shooting out of Zelenskyy's eyeballs when then Vance jumped in and backed Trump. Watch this.
What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
We are now 41 minutes in to this press briefing, and you just saw it. Who made this meeting turn left, right? It wasn't Trump. It wasn't J.D. Vance. It was Zelenskyy then asking, J.D. Vance a question. Zelenskyy then went on a 2-minute diatribe, basically chastising the vice president for defending Trump's effort at diplomacy. Here's part of it.
What kind of diplomacy, J.D., you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count one.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President.
Is Vance wrong? And notice he called him JD and not Mr. Vice President. The fake news has been gushing over Zelenskyy as if he was the next coming of Joan of Arc. They put him on magazine covers. But Zelenskyy, he's simply a construct created by the previous administration, heralded by the pale, confused corpse we saw every weekend decaying at the beach. The Biden regime, that's who's responsible for this Ukrainian war and Zelensky's posture of entitlement. All of the billions that Biden sent his regime while Americans are suffering just to make ends meet. And this is how Zelenskyy behaves?
Do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
Don't tell us what we feel, because I can tell you for sure what the majority of Americans feel because of the landslide victory. It's about time we had a president who put America first. That's what Trump is doing here. We are sick and tired of the lies. We are sick and tired of the scams and the fraud, with the biggest one of them all, that Joe Biden was competent. They knew from day one he wasn't. The Democrats then, they had the gall to install an equally incompetent, but for different reasons, Kamala Harris as the presidential candidate. Can you imagine if it were Kamala sitting there with Zelenskyy? Let's be unburdened by billions more of our dollars, Mr. Zelenskyy. U.S. officials say there's been over 500,000 casualties in Ukraine alone. Yet the Biden regime's answer to this war and everything else basically is to thump their chests and then send billions more of our taxpayer dollars. Well, guess what, guys? We are finally done being the world's ATM.
Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a
answer?
lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this.
I
You have a damn
We-
good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about West
If
Virginia?
you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
Again, where is the lie? Ukraine would have been decimated almost immediately if not for our money that Joe Biden and his co-conspirators gave away like Halloween candy. As always, Trump keeping it real when he then added this.
You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not
cards.
playing
But
cards.
right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War
What do you-
III.
what do you
You're
think about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III.
After realizing Zelenskyy had no desire for a ceasefire, Trump then basically kicked Zelenskyy out of the White House and said this to reporters afterwards.
I want a ceasefire now. He says, oh, I don't want a ceasefire. Well, all of a sudden, he's a big shot because he has the U.S. on his side. Either we're going to end it or let him fight it out. And if he fights it out, it's not going to be pretty. Because without us, he doesn't win.
As I speak, many Democrats and leftist media outlets are banging that drum once again that Trump is a Russian asset. You know what? Trump is an asset. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, American asset the United States has ever seen.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.